Hello and welcome to another episode. My name is Manny and this is Grubanny. Today I'll be showing you how to make some delicious alkaline vegan chayote patties. Now if you don't know what chayotes are, click on the link above to watch my video from last week in which I talked a little bit more about them. Today however, we'll be doing something quite different from what we did last week, and because I missed my weekly upload, I'll be throwing in a bonus item. Let's get started. So we will be starting with 4 medium-sized chayotes, and if you watched my video from last week, you remember I showed you how to cut them. So let's go ahead and cut them. Of course there are different ways to cut a chayote, but I found it easier to balance it on its lips and slice down the middle. Now all we have to do is remove the seed, which is also split in half. That was easy, wasn't it? Let's set these aside and do it one more time. Oh, I forgot to mention, make sure you wash your hands after touching the sap that comes out of a chayote. It actually causes skin irritation for some people, and I am one of them. Check out this tiny seed. If you know anything about whites this small, let me know in the comment section below. Next, we're gonna cut all of our chayote halves into quarters. The reason I'm cutting it into this size is because I'm about to put it into my food processor and it won't fit into the chute if it's too large. Now if you're using a hand grater, you don't have to worry about the size because you'll be doing it manually and you don't have to feed it through a chute. Let's set these aside for now. I'm sure by now you all know how I love the anise flavor of fennel. Anyway, let's cut these in half so they can fit into the chute. Next, we're going to be adding some portobello mushrooms. We're also going to be cutting them in half so they'd fit into the chute. This is the shredding disc for my food processor, and I'm going to use the smaller blades to shred my chayotes. You see this blade right here? That's not what you're looking for. Also use these blades if you're using a grater. The blades you want to use should face upwards. My chayote is in and I'll be using this pusher to push it down the chute. Next, I'll be going in with my fennel. Now you can see why I cut it in half. We'll be following those with the mushroom halves. Now let's see what we got. So this is how it looks, and as you can see, you can also achieve this with a hand grater. Next, I'm going to put the shredded chayotes, fennel, and mushrooms into a strainer or a colander and give them a good mix. I'm going to go in with my hands to make sure I get a good mix, and I'll also be squeezing out the liquid. Now we're going to set this aside and make sure we save all of the liquid. I know it looks strange for now, but trust me, it's packed with nutrients and you won't notice it when I'm done. Next, I'm going to be adding 2 cups of chickpea flour or garbanzo flour to a bowl. We're actually going to be making a lighter batter than we would with chickpea scramble. Add about 1 cup of the liquid from our shredded mix while whisking vigorously. This is how light my batter is, but you can actually adjust the thickness by adding more garbanzo flour. This is the fun part, spicing up our batter. Let's go. Add about 1 teaspoon of sea salt. Add 2 tablespoons of onion powder. Add 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Add 1 teaspoon of dried basil leaves. Add 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme. Mix vigorously to combine. Now we're gonna add our shredded chayotes, mushrooms and fennel into the wet mixture and combine it all together. Place a pan on the stove set to medium-high heat, then add about 1 cup of grapeseed oil. Once your oil is hot, add 1/4 cup of your batter to one side of the pan and press down gently to flatten it. Repeat the process for the rest and don't overcrowd your pan. Cook for about 3 minutes per side on medium-high heat. After 3 minutes, flip it over and cook for another 3 minutes. Use a fork or something else to support your flip. If you don't, this will happen. The goal is not to cook them through, we just want to get some color. Set them aside for now, then repeat the process. A lady online did this and I'm going to try to replicate what she did but make it alkaline. Place some tomatoes, some onions and some habaneros in a lightly oiled pan set to medium-high heat. Once you start to get some color, flip them over. The goal here is to create a deep smoky flavor. Add your roasted vegetables to a food processor or blender. I like to use the puree function on mine. Add some grapeseed oil to the same pan on medium-high heat, then add your tomato blend. Add about 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Alkaline vegans only use pure sea salt. Add 2 tablespoons of onion powder. Add 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. This is optional. Add 1 teaspoon of dried bay leaves. Add 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme. It's quite thick, so we're gonna add some of my signature alkaline veggie broth. Click on the link above to watch that video. Give it a good mix and let it cook for 15 to 20 minutes on medium-high heat. Remember these guys and how I told you not to cook them all the way through? Now watch this. Yup. We're going to finish cooking them in the tomato sauce. Make sure they're covered in it. After After about 3 to 5 minutes, you can take them out and put in the next batch. Add a touch of water or veggie broth before putting in the next batch. We're all set. We're going to set these aside for now. You can also make these in the oven if you don't want to fry them. Now it's time for the bonus recipe. For the bonus recipe, we're going to be adding 2 cups of white spelt flour, 1 cup of chickpea flour, and 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And then we're going to follow all of the steps we used in the beginning without adding the mushrooms. This time around, it's going to be a pale yellowish color. So I made these accidentally, but I don't have a name for them yet. If you can think of a name for these, please let me know in the comment section below. If you're not into frying stuff, all you have to do is add some oil to the batter and give it a good mix. Next, place a piece of parchment paper into a baking tray and add scoops of your batter. Use your scoop to spread them around and do your best to keep them apart, but it's okay if they touch. Now let's bake these in an oven set to 380 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes. After 10 to 15 minutes, flip them over and bake for another 10 to 15 minutes, then you're done. You can eat these for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can also make a sandwich or a burger out of these by placing the chayote patties in the middle. Add some lettuce, some tomatoes, some onions, some cheese, and hey, Bob's your uncle. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all next week.